You can repeat translation after me. Through proper deliberation, one should give up attraction to his wife body, because that body will ultimately be transformed into small insects, stool or ashes. What is the value of this insignificant body? How much greater is the Supreme Being, who is all pervading like the sky? So we'll read the purport now. Purport. Here also the same point is stressed. One should give up attachment for his wife, or in other words, for sex life. If one is intelligent, he can think of his wife's body as nothing but a lump of matter that will ultimately be transformed into small insects, stool or ashes. In different societies, there are different ways of dealing with the human body at the time of the funeral ceremony. In some societies, the body is given to the vultures to be eaten, and therefore the body ultimately turns to vulture stool. Sometimes the body is merely abandoned, and in that case, the body is consumed by small insects. In some societies, the body is immediately burned after death, and thus it becomes ashes. In any case, if one intelligently considers the constitution of the body and the soul beyond it, what is the value of this body? Antavant imedeha nityasukta sharirinaha. The body may perish at any moment, but the soul is eternal. If one gives up attachment for the body and increases his attachment for the spirit soul, his life is successful. Omagyanti mirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Shunyavadi Pashad Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauravdashe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishamanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishvanebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone. So I welcome all of you for today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. So this morning we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 14th, and this is verse number 13th. So this is a chapter entitled The Ideal Family Life. So these are the beautiful series of verses describing about how an ideal householder should conduct his life in Krishna consciousness, and how should he become attached to anything while dealing in this material world. So now today we are discussing the 13th verse. So here he's talking about one should give up the attraction to his wife's body, because that body will ultimately be transformed into small insects or stool or ashes. What is the value of this insignificant body? How much greater is the Supreme Being, who is all pervading like the sky? So here you can see the attachment to the body is condemned. So actually the living entity is attached to the body, and then things related to body. That's how the whole attachment is. The very first thing what divinity gets in this, when he comes to this material world, is material body, and then he misidentifies with this material body, becomes attached to this material body.
Then
good
job. Fast.
Okay, so he becomes attached to this material body, and because of that attachment, then he gets into so many varieties of activities for sense gratification. And so this is what it results in. So attachment to body means attachment to sense gratification. You can see like that. More one is attached to body, the more he'll be inclined for sense gratification. You can see how Hiranyakashipu so much attached to body. He wanted to protect the body for eternity. And that's how so much sense gratification also. Same thing with Ravana also. And the more you not identify with body, more we become detached from the body, then automatically one becomes detached from sense gratification also. So there is a connection. There is a connection between the attachment to the body and things related to body versus sense gratification. Both goes hand in hand. So modern society is so much, society is geared up for sense gratification. Why? Because so much of body consciousness, so much of body consciousness, so much of attachment, and so much of sense gratification also. Like that. So the root cause of misidentification of the body, and especially in Western civilization, it is so prominent. Everybody thinks it's the body. It's a disease of every conditioned soul. And when he thinks of that he is his body, then he has to do everything to satisfy the body, to gratify the senses. That's what Prabhupada is saying here. If one gives up attachment for the body and increases his attachment for the spirit soul, his life is successful. So more we increase. So modern civilization is geared about increasing the attachment for the body. That's why the Prabhupada said modern schools and colleges and universities are spiritual slaughterhouses. Because once they get into that, then what they are taught is to become more attached to the bodily and body comforts. Find out ways and means to be able to gratify the body more and more. This is how the modern civilization is teaching, the kids also. That's why Prabhupada said, slaughterhouse. Because they're killing the propensity of the soul's devotion or service to the Lord. They're making more and more targeted. Jadavidya Maya, that's what Prabhupada said. But in the spiritual society, the focus is given on developing attachment for the spiritual soul. That's why you see Vedic society, the Gurukul system was there. So they were trained in the science of soul from beginning itself. And that's how they were trained to not forget the real identity as soul and make attempt in this human form to become self-realized. That was the training, that was the one foundational training given. The Prabhupada is saying nice, but it is merely a matter of deliberation. So one has to deliberate that he is not the body, he is soul, and one should work on developing his attachment to the Lord as soul. That's how attachment for the spirit soul, meaning attachment for the Lord. Because when you understand I am spirit soul, if I am attached to this understanding, I am also I can understand also that I am soul is part and parcel of Krishna. And that's how we can become more and more spiritually related. And self gratification will go in background like that. So if you see Shastras, Srimad Bhagavatam specifically, it actually first thing it talks about that how the human form life is so rare and it is very temporary also. Both things are emphasized in the scriptures. That how this human form life लब्ध्वा सुदर्भमिदं बहु संभवान्ते मानुष्यम अधुनम अनित्यम अपीतिहा दोनाम यतेत न पतेत अनुमृत्युयावना निश्चयशाय विषय खलु सर्वतस्य. So it says that after many births we get this human form life. It's not ordinary. It's very rare. And not only that, it is temporary. It is not going to be there with us all throughout our life. I mean, all throughout our life it will be there. After that, we cannot have any assurance that we are going to have human body again. And in this human form of life, why is so much importance given? Because in human form of life only you become self-realized. Then only you can understand Krishna. You can go back to God. So this is a very important thing to understand that in human form of life, it is important to practice Krishna consciousness and go back to God because it is meant for that purpose only. Even in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.15.24. He says that his translation is saying that Lord Brahma said, "My dear demigod," this is description of the kingdom of God. "My dear demigods, the human form of life is of such importance that we also desire to have such life." Brahma is also saying that I also want a human body, human form. For in the human form, one can attain perfect religious truth and knowledge. In human form, it is possible to have perfect religious truth and knowledge. If one in this human form of life does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his abode, it is to be understood that he is very much affected by the influence of external nature. So purport is it says Brahmaji condemns very vehemently the condition of human being who does not take interest in the personality of Godhead and his transcendental abode Vaikuntha. The human form life is desired even by Brahmaji. Brahma and other demigods have much better material bodies than human beings. Yet the demigods, including Brahma, nevertheless desire to attain the human form of life because it is specifically meant for the living entity who can attain transcendental knowledge and religious perfection. So this is amazing thing. Even Brahma and demigods are also wanting to have human form, which we have got. So that is something rare. We already have it. It is not possible to go back to Godhead in one life, but in human form, one should at least understand the goal of life and begin Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is saying it's not possible to go back to Godhead in one life in general. But actually, Prabhupada has told also one can go back to Godhead in one life. One takes full shelter of one of Acharya and follows him, then he can go back to Godhead. Right? Prabhupada has guaranteed for all his followers who sincerely follow him, he is guaranteeing that he will take all of them back to Godhead in this one lifetime also. It is said that the human form is a great boon because it is the most suitable boat for crossing over the science oceans. Spiritual master is the captain. So, therefore, one who does not take advantage of all these facilities in this life is committing suicide. Therefore, who does not begin Krishna consciousness in the human form of life, it is in the influence of illusion. So, Brahma regrets the situation of such a human being. So this is a very important point that even Brahma and demigods also looking for having the human form of life. So, how much we are fortunate. So that means the human form life is so much glorified. And what is condemned is the attachment. Now, this body is a boon for us, in that sense. As conditioned souls, having human body is a great boon. But what is condemnable is attachment to the body. Attachment to the body is condemned. So much is condemned in the scriptures. So human body is glorified. So human body is glorified. Attachment to human body is condemned. So how it is? Because the human body can be used in the service of the Lord to go back to God, to attain perfection. That's why it is glorified so much. But the same human body which we have got, if we keep the same mentality, to just enjoy, and just somehow become attached to the human body and gratify our senses, then we will lose this. And then we again miss the opportunity. That is the greatest danger. The Prabhupada said that, problem is that we will lose this human body and we may go to some other species of life. Then when we'll get again human form in the And what is because of that? Prabhupada also said that, if say you, perform devotional service and you don't perfect your life, if you land up in heavenly planet, then what? So it may be so much time in the wasted because there's so much heavenly enjoyment and all, then one may unnecessarily remain stuck in this material world for so long. Of course, it's become Krishna consciousness, so further arrangement Lord will make, but unnecessarily will delay our journey back to God. Why to do that? So that's why attachment to human body is also so much condemned. And same way, because attachment to body is condemned, attachment to then things related to body, like wife, children, home, all these things are condemned for the same reason. Because it is like sun gratification, personal sun gratification, extended sun gratification. It's like that. I and my. So all these things are condemned that way. So and in fact, you see 2.1.4, he says that this deha patikalata desha atma sanishta saraswati tesham pramattanirnam pasyanavina pashi. So he's saying that all this human body, and wife, children, home, these are all considered false soldiers. Now human body is glorified, as I said. But why is saying false soldiers? If you become attached to them, then they are and think that they are shelter, so then that becomes a problem. So that's how it is condemned that way. And they said, and he's saying that, person devoid of Atma, do not inquire into problems of life, being too attached to the fallibles, not infallible, fallible souls like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. So we should be able to see that our human body is going to be destroyed. It's not going to be there with us. No. So Prabhupada is saying another reverse I was hearing. Prabhupada says that who knows, you will die before me. No? Any time you will lose this opportunity. So here, Prabhupada says this material world is called the world of death. Every living being, beginning from Brahma, whose duration of life is millions of years, thousands of millions of years, down to germs who live for a few seconds only, struggling for existence. So saying this life is sort of fight with mental nature, imposes death upon all. In the human form of life, a living being is competent enough to come to an understanding of this great struggle for existence. But being too attached to family members, society, country, etc., he wants to win over the invincible mental nature by the aid of bodily strength, children, wife, relatives. So the whole struggle to counteract material nature, win over material nature, in terms of because material nature will throw so much varieties of challenges in some gratification. Because the people want to have youthful gratification, but material nature will give old body, love. Then how can you enjoy? Then you want to stay with your family for all your eternity, but then death comes. Oh, God. So that material nature will throw so many impediments in even some gratification plan of the people who are attached to their body, right? So they want to then fight against material nature. Why? So that I can enjoy. That's what Hiranyakashipu was doing. Hiranyakashipu was trying to just defeat material nature. And so that has so much enjoyment. He was able to get seasons as per his will. So many things was doing, controlling the demigods. So this is all attempt, because material nature is going to throw challenges, obstacles. So the conditions were wants to counteract. You see what science, technological advancement is happening in America or whichever country. It is what they are doing. They are trying to defeat, trying to fight against material nature. Like we have this heater systems, we have so many varieties of technology and everything. So just so that we can fight against. So cold, okay, then I can be heated. So much of heat, okay, then I can have air conditioning. Okay, I have so many diseases, okay, let me develop the medicine by which I can have painkillers. So like that you want to defeat. You have to defeat. And in the attempt to defeat material nature, the living entity is, foolishly, he just goes on spending so much of time and so much of energy. And he doesn't understand the valuable gift which he had got from his body. He completely did not become aware of for what purpose it was. And then ultimately he is defeated only. That was his. Then ultimately he is defeated. Even though he is trying to defeat material nature, whole time has gone, so much energy has gone, but defeat is before only planned. That he is going to be defeated, that is already decided. So he is fighting a war which already it is declared it is, you are defeated. It's like match fixed, already match is fixed. Suppose match fixing is done, and then still, and that country knows that already match is fixed. Then what is the point in playing that match? Another example is given if some bank is going to be bankrupt anyway. It is decided already. At the end of this many years, it is going to be bankrupt. Then what is the use of putting money in? So this is how conditions are cooled by losing the energy. So instead of using this valuable human body, is wasting some time is so much time is wasted. So that's why attachment to the human body is condemned. Attachment to wife, attachment to kids, because these things create some kind of illusory, environment of comfort and happiness, where one things can go on and on, and become more and more improved in his happiness, being surrounded by them. This kind of illusion is created by religion. That's why so much attachment towards this body is condemned. So there is another verse also. I just this is in Puranjan Vaksha. There also he says that it says गृहेषु कूटधर्मेषु उत्तदाराधनादधिः न परं विन्दते मूढो भ्राम्यन् संसाररत्नसु. Those who are interested only in so-called beautiful life, namely remaining a householder entangled by sons and wife and searching after wealth, think that such things are life's ultimate goal. That is the problem. They think that is ultimate goal. Such people simply wander in different types of bodies throughout this material existence without finding out the ultimate goal of life. So those who are too attached to family life, which consists of entanglement, wife, children, wealth, home, are engaged in pseudo duties. Prahlad Maharaj has likened these pseudo occupational duties to a dark well, Andhakupam. Prahlad has purposefully spoken of this dark well because if one falls into this well, he will die. He may cry for help, but no one will hear him or come to rescue him. This is the challenge, because it's a dark, deep dark well means what? That it becomes very difficult to come out. That's the main point. So, and the person also is not willing to come out. That is also another thing. Now, the situation has become so bad that he gets completely, prisoned in that situation. So nobody can help him, and he is not willing to come out. Because he is just surrounded by his friends and relatives and so many people, the political leaders, and nobody can help. And this person also has no desire to come out. So it becomes like, yes, he is going to be Nitya Baddha only, kind of. That's why he says, living there eternally conditioned. They can remain eternally conditioned like that. So, of course, it is not that there is no hope. There is hope. Otherwise, why at all we are discussing this? There is hope. Hope is there. But the danger is also very much emphasized. How dangerous situation could be. If somebody doesn't understand how the material nature can keep the divinity, in a condition like that, life of life. It's very dangerous situation, very awkward and dangerous situation for divinity. So, and more or less, attachment to body is anyway condemned. At the same time, the situation in Kaluga is all the more dangerous. So, in general, attachment is, but Kaluga is more dangerous also. So, he says that in the first canto, saying the age of Kali is very dangerous for the human being. Human life is simply meant for self-realization, but it is a dangerous age. This age is furthermore made it more dangerous. Men have completely forgotten the aim of life. In this age, the lifespan will gradually decrease. People will gradually lose their memory, finer sentiment, strength, and better qualities. A list of anomalies for this age is given in 12th canto of this book. And so this age is very difficult for those who want to utilize this life of civilization. The people are so busy with self-gratification that they completely forget that about self-gratification. Out of madness, they frankly say that there is no need for self-gratification because they do not realize that this brief life is but movement on our great journey towards self-realization. So the whole system of education is geared to self-gratification, and if a learned man thinks it over, he sees that the children of this age are being intentionally sent to slaughterhouses, also for education. Learned man therefore must be cautious of this, and if they at all want to cross over the dangerous ocean of Kali, they must follow the footsteps of the sages of Navishwarya and accept Rasula Goswami or his bona fide relative as the captain of the ship. The ship is the message of Lord Shri Krishna in the shape of the Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the hope. That yes, there is so much danger given, attachment to body and all that. And Kali Yuga becomes all the more dangerous. But what is the hope? The hope is that we have the facility of having a spiritual master and the scriptures, the Vaishnavas. So that way we can actually safely go back to body also. In fact, Kali Yuga is glorified from that perspective. That Kali Yuga becomes so dangerous age that people will be so much started with so much of agony and pain and miseries that they will helplessly may take shelter of the holy name. Only thing is they need a guru, that's all. If the bona fide spiritual master is there, and if there are scriptures and acharyas, holy name, so people will helplessly can take shelter also. It is possible. Like now situation in America and whole world is becoming very bad also. War situation and all that. So it's bad, surely, but sometimes it may become a very good platform for people to take up Krishna Ashtami seriously also. So we can use that negative situation in taking shelter of the Lord more. That's why in Srimad Bhagavatam, this is glorified that when we get the human form of life, then we also have the opportunity to get a bona fide spiritual master. And that's why this 11th canto verse says, no? Anybody knows? It says, Nadeham adyam sulabham sudulbham plabam sukalpam gurukarnadharam mayanukulena navasvateritam upamangavadvim natare sa atmaha. The human body which can afford all benefit in life is ultimately obtained by the laws of nature, although it is a very rare achievement. This human body can be compared to a perfectly constructed boat. So this human body also compared to boat. So we can be in this boat, but don't become attached to this boat for some gratification. That is kind of. So, but we can surely value this human body. This human body can be compared to a perfectly constructed boat. Having a spiritual master as a captain and the sections of the personality of God as favorable winds, impelling it on its course, considering all these advantages, a human being who does not utilize his human life to cross the ocean of existence must be considered a killer of his own soul. So that is how he's called Atmaha, because he's not utilizing this human body, for progressing in Krishna consciousness by taking shelter of a bona fide guru. Then the whole thing is spoiled. So that's why this importance is emphasized that Brahmana Brahmadevana Bhagavanji Guru Krishna Sarvara Bhakti Latavis. Once we have got this human form life, then our greatest fortune will be if we can get the shelter of bona fide spiritual master. And if we don't take shelter of bona fide spiritual master, if we take shelter of other fellows, like the political leaders and family members and all that, then the Shastras compare that to be stone. So we can have a human body which can be used as a boat to go back to Godhead. But same human body, we have. But if we take shelter of politicians and great economists or great revolutionaries, social reformers, so many varieties of people in this world, so-called leaders, then it is compared to taking shelter of a stone boat. So, and Prabhupada gives very nice point here. He says, leaders who have fallen into ignorance and who mislead people by directing them to the path of destruction are in fact boarding a stone boat. And so too are those who are blindly follow them. A stone boat would be unable to float and would sink in water with its passengers. Similarly, those who mislead people to go to hell, their followers go with them. And the Prabhupada is saying very nice thing here. He says that, unfortunately, although, one will board, thus one will board a boat of stone, which will sink and drown all its passengers. If somebody doesn't take shelter of the bona fide group, but other things. Unfortunately, although the American people are extremely eager to get out of materialistic chaos, they are sometimes found to patronize the makers of stone boats. That will not help them. And they're saying they must take the proper boat offered by Krishna in the form of the Krishna consciousness movement. So setting the actual boat is Krishna consciousness movement. So when we have Krishna consciousness movement, then we can actually utilize our human body boat to go back to God. So Krishna consciousness movement actually makes us qualified to sit in that boat. Then they will be easily saved. So otherwise, when we drown, taking shelter of so many other political leaders and all that. And also he says that when we are having this human body, one should take the shelter of superiors. That is very important. So this is saying this in 7th canto. Raghava is saying this thing. He's saying, as long as one has to accept the material body with its different parts and personalities which are not fully under one's control, because we all have this material body and we are not being in full control over our mind and senses and everything. So what he said, one must have the lotus feet of the superiors, namely spiritual master and the spiritual master's predecessors. That means we should have a spiritual master and his representatives and all the devotees here. So we should take their shelter. By their mercy, one can sharpen the sword of knowledge. So by associating with spiritual master and other Vaishnavas, the sword of knowledge can be sharpened. And with the power of the Supreme Personality of God's mercy, one must then conquer the enemies mentioned. What are the mentioned enemies? That it says, in the condition, it says one's conception of life was sometimes corrupted by passion and ignorance, which are exhibited by attachment, hostility, greed, lamentation, illusion, fear, madness, false pursuit, insults, fault finding, deception, envy, intolerance, passion, bewilderment, hunger, and sleep. All of these are enemies. Sometimes one's conception are also corrupted by goodness. So actual aim of life is to go back to Godhead, but there are many hindrances created by three modes of material nature. Rajoguna, Tamoguna, Satguna, so many varieties of things are there. And one gets into illusion and then fear, lamentation, and fault finding, criticizing, deception, envying, intolerance, so many varieties of things he gets into. And that's how one will lose his vital energy to go back to Godhead, in getting involved in all those varieties of things because of the effect of modes only. Modes of material nature make one forgetful of the God and forgetful of his aim of life. That's why we need the shelter of the spiritual master and his sincere followers, like that. When we have that, by their mercy, then we can sharpen the sword of knowledge. Like 15th chapter of Gita says, no? What is this? Determination, one should cut this tree of material world with the sword of knowledge, it says. So now, how you can cut the sword of knowledge? And the sword is sharp. So this not the sharp, this remaining here, sword of knowledge can be sharpened with the power of the mercy of the Supreme Lord and his devotees. By their mercy, one can sharpen the sword of knowledge. And with the power of that Supreme Lord's mercy, then one can conquer the enemies above. That's why we need the shelter of devotees. If you are taking shelter of our superiors very nicely, Vaishnavas very nicely, then we'll be able to have that sharpened knowledge, sharpened sword. Then we can cut it. So he says that here, the human form body is most valuable boat, and spiritual master is that inverse equals that way. And then he's saying, simply getting the weapon of jnana is insufficient. One must sharpen the weapon by serving the spiritual master and adhering to his instructions. So only getting the knowledge from reading is good, but you have to sharpen it by associating with the spiritual master, hearing from him, and taking shelter of superiors. That way he's saying. Thus the candidate will get the mercy of the Supreme Personality. That way we get the mercy of the Lord. In general warfare, one must take help from his chariot and horses in order to conquer his enemy. And after conquering his enemies, he may give up the chariot and his paraphernalia. Similarly, as long as one has a human body, one should fully use it to obtain the highest perfection of life, namely going back to God. Getting one? So after you give more, then you give up chariot and horses and everything. But in war, you have to use it. Similarly, human body should be used when we are fighting against Maya. So that's what he's saying. And then there is this last thing I will just share, and then we can stop for today. So this section of the teaching is basically one of my favorite. Like 6.4. 6. So he says here, those who are self-interested. No, not this. Sorry. I'll just stop with this. So he says, this body which is eatable by jackals and dogs after death, which is mentioned here also. The body's destination becomes what? Simply becomes ash or stool or dust. Dust. Yeah, insects eat and then become soil, dust. So this body which is eatable by jackals and dogs after death does not actually do any good for you. Because the body cannot do any good to you. When you are having this body, what good can do for you? Nothing. It's useless. But it is having still use. Still it has use. What is that? And it has the greatest use. To actually perfect our life. Like that. So the spirit source, it cannot do good in terms of if you're only trying to just gratify yourself. Nothing it can do good. In fact, it can become such a great source of misery. It is poison. It is usable only for a short time and may perish at any moment. The body and its possessions, riches and relatives, must all be engaged for the benefit of others, or else they will be sources of tribulation and misery. So you have no option. Either you use this body for service of Lord and devotees, or if you don't use this body, it is going to create source of revolutions. Same thing about mind also, right? You use the mind for Krishna service, Krishna Master, wonderful. Don't use the mind, it will become havoc. People get into depression, not so many stress and tension, unlimited problems. So it is like that. Body, human mind is like that. You use it, perfect. You will get perfection of life. If you don't use it, it will become greatest source of revelation and misery. It's like that. It's like double-edged sword. Use it or just not in between. Like that. Similar advice. So he's saying, I just read this and we'll stop. So he says, it is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. So this is something which I do because it's a very practical action point. This is the mission of life. One's own body and bodies of his friends and relatives, as well as one's own riches, everything else one has, should be engaged for the benefit of others. This is the mission of Kripa. One who has taken birth as a human being in the land of India should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. The human society, there are many institutions to help others, but because philanthropists do not know how to help others, their propensity for philanthropy is infectious. They do not know the ultimate goal of life, which is to please the Supreme God. So he's saying to please the personality of God, they would all be imperfect. Humanitarian work without Krishna is nothing. Krishna must be brought to center for all our activities. Otherwise, no activity will have value. And he says one nice thing here. He says that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also took sannyas. He's saying, quoting that. And then he says he refused all worldly comforts. And even his following of even his disciples, Shashat Goswami also, they were ministers and all, but just to show mercy to the fallen souls of the world, they lived very humble lives and mendicant, wearing no more than loin clothes and torn quilts. They lived in Vrindavan, followed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order to excavate Vrindavan's lost world. That means no extravagantly trying to live for the comfort of the body. They did not do that. So what they did for the body, what should we do then? So then similarly, everyone else with a materially comfortable condition in this world, we are all seeking some materially comfortable situation. So Prabhupada is saying, everyone else with a materially comfortable condition in this world should join the Krishna consciousness movement to integrate the bond. The words Bhuta, Vaya, Maya, Mrigam, Vaitava all convey the same message. These are very significant words for those interested in elevating human society to a proper understanding of life. One should join the Krishna consciousness movement, following the examples of such great personalities as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Goswami, before them the great Sri Buddhichi. Instead of wasting one's life for temporary bodily comforts, one should always be prepared to give up one's life for better causes. After all, the body will be destroyed. Therefore, one should sacrifice it for the glory of distributing religious principles, that is, expanding the holy name of God. So this is very amazing. We have got the best use. See, ordinarily we could have practiced Krishna consciousness or some spiritual life, we have gone back to God. We could have done it in other areas. But what is the speciality of us getting human body in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's era under Srila Prabhupada? What is the speciality? We cannot just use our material body to go back to Godhead. We can use this material body to get so many dignities, have the opportunity to go back to Godhead. Very special service. In a very special way, we can please the Lord. It is not about just perfecting life. It is okay. Many people may perfect life in many other areas also. But when we have come in the era of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, such a kind of Mahavadanya avatar, and also getting the highest perfection, that is Braja Bhakti. And that too, not one, two. The whole same. Mahaprabhu is ready to take it. And we have to just simply become his agents. What kind of special service opportunity is there for us? So having such kind of opportunity, if we still become attached to things of this world and waste our energy, we are losing it, right? So much time goes. If you see for studying, so much time goes. And after that, you do graduation, so much time goes. And post graduation, so much time goes. There's so much doctor line, something picks up, so much time goes, energy goes. 3 days, 4 days, they don't come out from the ICU and so many things. I mean, I'm not saying people, they may do it. But point is that we have to carefully design our life that we have time for Krishna consciousness also. It's important. We're not condemning any profession or any kind of responsibility, but we have to know, understand the rare opportunity what we have got. And we cannot miss it. Because such kind of fortune is available for us. Like a bumper offer. So when you have a bumper offer, then we should be bumper into us to give our lives for this mission. Correct? In whatever capacity. Also, I can do somebody's and business can do. But everybody has to contribute in this mission of Rajatanya. As much as possible. As much as can. giving up the material comfortable condition in this world. Because Prabhupada says, this comfort will leave you or you will leave the comfort. It's not going to be with you. Material body is anyway temporary. So you use it in such a wonderful opportunity. Otherwise, you lose it and not lose, it will become the source of greatest tribulation. This pause here, Prashasana Bhagavatam ki, Jai Shri Prabhupada ki, Jai. Welcome on day. Prabhu, any comment?
Prabhupada says the body is body Krishna consciousness is like you have some wood and you use it to make fire to heat your house, and at the same and in the process the
wood gets burnt.
Wood is burnt up, turns to ashes, so you use your body Krishna consciousness and in the process to the material body.
Yes, sir. Correct.
And I have a practical thing that Narendra Swami used to say. That's a practical thing about the material body. Is how much pleasure can you get from one part of your body? Like you, with your finger, you can like touch something.
How many varieties of pain you can get?
How much that if you hit your finger with a hammer, or or if you get an infection on your finger, how much pain can you get from that? You get a lot more pain from the body, any part of your body, or part of the body as a whole. But you can get a lot more pain than you can get pleasure. That's just a practical reality of the material body.
Yeah. Thank you. Manoj, you want to say something? Okay, we'll pause here. Prabhupada ki jai, Granthashram Bhagavatam ki jai. Jai Gautama Nande, Hari Hari Bol.